So this was even probably the end of February going into March. They're like, just go now. Just go now. So it was actually pretty early because she with our girl, she basically worked all the way up till she was ready, like maybe a month. She's like, okay, I don't want to have birth at work. But so kind of got a little writing on the wall there of like, well, this state, we might be doing some different stuff than what I'm hearing in like the Midwest or Texas or Florida. So, okay, we're keeping our eye out. So I just said, well, I'll just go in. We'll print orders we need to. Obviously, we weren't getting half the stuff we were getting. Ironically enough, we're getting a lot of shirts for old people, like old folks' homes. Like, I don't know if they're trying to boost morale and they lock them in their rooms or something.
Did they, I take it they didn't say don't trust the government on it. Right?
Yeah, no. You're not gonna make it past the next 30 days.
When you said you weren't essential business, well, I think if you can print "Don't trust the government" on something,
Yeah, right.
classes as essential workers.
Yeah, that's right. So that's kind of when I was like, well, I don't know when this is gonna stop. And then just the more I would get the watching a lot of you independent journalists and media members of kind of giving their updates and where they're going through, I was like, man, it's all over the place. Like it's, the feds say one thing, different states say other things. Some people obviously don't care in certain areas, and there's areas out here where they didn't care. And there's areas like where we work where like people are still masked up with tons of stuff while they're driving by themselves. That, the whole spiel. So I think it was like a month into that is when we're finally just said, hey, if you guys want to like just come in, we'll do our thing. No one's going to stop us. And no one did it. It wasn't that kind of strict like, Chile was. And we're pretty, even in Oregon, the states are pretty, unless you're in like a major city downtown, it's so sprawled out with how many roads and how open it is. It's really hard to like, you'd have to have some infrastructure.
Pop out the car window and travel across the air and get right up into a child's nose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't like, and luckily our girl wasn't in school yet, so I was like, thank God I don't have to deal with this crap because everyone I know pulled their kids out and they're like, we're not doing this. We're gonna homeschool our kids. They're making kids eat lunch out in the pouring rain here and snow, and it's just like, what are we doing? And then the teachers wouldn't wear masks, but they'd make the kids. I was like, no. But ours, honestly, like was it this April? This April was the first time they stopped requiring masks for like my wife's work.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it was here. Now, granted, we're not as hardcore as, you have 2 hours to go out and shop. That's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah. That was peak stuff. It ended up going into some sort of. What was interesting in Chile is that they introduced stuff in Chile and it was a test it, and within like 6 months it was happening in Britain and happening.
Oh,
and it was they were testing it out there because they knew people would just accept it straight away, but they have to slowly introduce it in the other places till it gets to that stage.
Yeah,
because they will be more likely fight back, and it's
so
all
they're
about,
the guinea
like,
pigs.
Well, when you've got Pinochet in recent
that's true.
in history,
That's
you're like,
true.
all right, let's not argue.
Okay.
Get your mask on. Shut up.
Sir.
Show the pass. Yes, whatever.
But you know what? It got me thinking at that time, and obviously listening to all the stuff going on. And mainly I was really just listening, especially a lot of Ryan's stuff at the time and Corbett's, was these studies that were coming out. Study after study that pre-COVID and currently, and then the trials they were going through with Pfizer and everything, but a lot of just even the mass studies and, Stanford's review, peer reviewed, random controlled, like what they're called the gold standard, not just, a preprint. Not that you can't have a good preprint. Even that can all be questioned, right? Even the peer reviewed system. But if that's what they were going by, and he was showing, I was like, man, this really like, and you see the restaurant thing. I don't know how it was with you, but it'd be like, you could go in here with a mask, and then the second you sat down, apparently it doesn't, travel higher. And I don't get how even just that, if you didn't know anything about anything, logically, that's one of the most obvious, dumbest things I've seen.
Yeah, logic went out the window.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People were losing their shit besides getting toilet paper everywhere and like loading up on, the fast food is open, the liquor stores. the weed shops here. Not that I'm against any of that stuff,
But
but
the
it was
kids'
interesting
toys
what they tried to.
have like boundaries and plastic over in the
Oh
UK,
yeah,
and it says not essential items. Stop it! Stop buying your
but
kids stuff to play with.
what it got me thinking of, and you guys were already all ahead of it, but before everyone was really breaking down kind of what they saw it leading to, was making me think, at least here, because of how wide open we are, and it really would be hard to really control every state, to the degree of how spread out we are, at least here in the States. In cities, it'd be easier. I think that's, half the point of the 15-minute kind of cities, to really get people in these areas, and it's easier to control. But my thought was, man, if they're trying to do this with like, the vaccine cards to get in places and mask for this, or checkpoints here, I was like, the only way this is going to work is digitally. You can't do it via paper. Too many, all this stuff you can't. And I was like, uh-oh. And then like the first thing I saw just randomly talking about in the US of, well, by 2025, unanimous bill passed to put a kill switch on cars. For in case you have a drunk driver, nothing else, no, nothing else.
Just an
And I was like,
OJ Simpson. It's just for
yeah,
OJs. That's
it's
all.
fine. Yeah, yeah. We'll shut down the Bronco. Like
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's a little. I was like, well, that makes sense. And then it's right on cue. Everyone is kind of like, yeah, this could get, as soon as they can get kind of any digital ID, digital currency, we are hosed as far as that kind of control. I do wonder about how a lot of the old people here in this country could handle it, because they can't even handle smartphones right now. So I'm curious how that would work. But it worries me. That's where I started really thinking, oh, we're screwed for the future, not just this year, or in Oregon, 3 years of junk. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's hard to know what's going to be what's going to be the next
yeah,
calamity, whether they're
I
going to pull
know.
out another virus, or whether it's just financial, or whether it's a big cyber catastrophe, or
Yes,
whether it's some sort of something that appears from the sky, like
yes.
a big glowing object
Look over
circling.
here.
Oh my God, it's Mr. E.T. himself. And he's come down. What's he saying? Believe Henry Kissinger. That's all.
Yes.
Goodbye. That's
All
basically,
hail.
yeah, all hail Kissinger.
Yeah.
Round the universe, we have decided he is the most superior person, and you should relook at all of his life and agree with him completely. Put his
Oh
brain
yeah.
in a jar. Yeah, yeah, you know it. You